Today's devotional finds me, along with the rest of our country, commemorating this 3-day Labor Day weekend. Many will be celebrating by hitting the beaches, looking for the Labor Day sales, or having a backyard barbecue, all done in the name of the hard work accomplished to make that time off a success. Welcome to the modern version of an old and mostly forgotten teaching known as the Protestant work ethic, a concept that almost single-handedly built this country into one of the greatest and most productive nations on earth. Most young students of mine are not conscious of this revolutionary idea brought to us by the Reformation, from which they have received so much. Unfortunately, university professors don't teach the idea in any detail or at all, and some Christians have a distorted idea of this concept brought about by the prosperity gospel, and many other people have just been too busy to contemplate what makes us so productive. In a 2007 survey by Syracuse University, Americans work 25% more per year than Norwegians or the Dutch. Moreover, surveys also reveal that the vast majority of Americans seem to enjoy working. Well, where did America's drive all come from? In 1904, a German sociologist, Max Weber, wrote the book Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. In the book, Weber attempted to demonstrate that the mindset promoted by the Protestant religion coming to America from Northern Europe was responsible. In 1930, his book was translated to English, and his focus on Protestant theologians such as Martin Luther and John Calvin spread like wildfire through the American culture. He capitalized on the teachings of these great reformers that spoke against the prevailing Catholic teaching of the times, which taught that real spirituality could only be found in otherworldly aesthetic practices. The reformers, on the other hand, focused on everyday life and work. Weber wrote that the reformers taught that you can serve God simply by fulfilling the obligations of your calling, and by calling they meant that which represented a person's work and everyday tasks. In Weber's understanding, the reformers believed that to achieve success in your calling was the highest thing you could do to glorify God in your lifetime. As good as Weber was in pinpointing the influence of the reformers on the growing America, he may have missed a crucial part of Reformed theology and the work ethic that resulted, one that we may know from the three foundational pillars of Reformed thought, which include guilt, grace, and gratitude. The work ethic came from the third pillar known as gratitude. But first, before we look at gratitude, let's review the first two pillars. The first pillar is guilt, which means to realize that our sin has broken a relationship with God and has separated us from Him. We must also realize our inability to repair or do anything that would bring us back into a relationship with God. The reformers were very strong on this point. There's absolutely nothing that we can do on our own to bring us back into what we most need, which is a relationship with our Creator. Once we reach this understanding, we can move to the next pillar. The second pillar is grace. Since we are unable to do anything that would result in our reconciliation with God, we needed a righteous Savior, one who was without sin, and able to pay the price of repairing this brokenness with God. And it was God Himself who freely sent His Son to reconcile us back to Him. His Son, Jesus, the Christ, or Anointed One, who was made like unto us, but was God and was all righteousness. His work was to pay the penalty of our sin that we were unable to pay. The Reformers made it clear that we had no part in this process, and that this gift of God was given to us without cost, unrelated to any action on our part. The natural question that came from their teaching was, what can we do? The Reformers' answer came in the third pillar of gratitude. They taught that this undeserved grace should be met with gratitude. In other words, living a life of thanksgiving, which you do through all of life's endeavors, but particularly in your vocational calling. The Reformers got this idea, of course, through scriptures like our devotional passage today in Colossians 3, which reminds us that doing the best we can, where we can, is a way of saying thank you to God for such undeserved favor. Here we are specifically told that we are, quote, serving the Lord Christ, unquote, and not just our employer. The Lord is the one who will reward us in the end, not the employer. I'm not saying that our employer won't reward us for our hard work and diligence. I mean, hopefully that's true, but that financial reward cannot be brought with us to heaven. What God rewards us for is for all eternity and can be enjoyed in the kingdom of heaven. In the meantime, we do our ultimate best at our jobs to show our gratitude to God, and that a good, hard work ethic done, quote, for the Lord and not for men, unquote, brings God honor and glory. I remember growing up and spending time in Grand Rapids, Michigan amongst the Dutch Calvinists to which my family belonged. Grand Rapids was known for its excellent manufacturing of furniture. Each piece was crafted by those who believed in the Protestant work ethic. Their goal was to produce furniture that would last more than 100 years. I still have a chair that I've inherited from my family that is now reaching 70 years old, and each time that I see it or sit in it, I'm reminded that this was made by a skilled craftsman as an act of thanksgiving to God, who loved us so much that he sent his only Son. This weekend, as we celebrate the workforce, keep in mind that you have, through your faith tradition, inherited a wonderful work ethic that not only built a great country, but also demonstrated a wonderful truth about our relationship with God. I will see you next Saturday.